I'm Sari.
And I'm Haley.
And this is Seamwork Radio. Welcome back to Seamwork Radio. Today, we're talking about how to figure out how much clothing you really want and really need. We're going to cover why it's so hard to stop acquiring more stuff and 6 practical things that you can do to figure out whether you really are collecting clutter instead of making things that are really personally meaningful to you. So we have an icebreaker for makers today, and our icebreaker to start us off, Haley, what percentage of your clothing would you guess is handmade by you?
Oh, man. I would say 25 to 30%. Currently.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good amount. I don't know.
I think that people maybe expect that I might have more. I do have a lot of secondhand stuff, to be fair, but yeah, I'd say about 25%. I feel like my goal would be 50%. I feel like that's pretty like a realistic goal.
I think mine is probably not too different. I would probably guess 30% for me as well. And I think I also buy a lot of secondhand stuff. I don't like to buy a lot of new clothing. And when I do, I try to buy from small brands or made in the US or ethically made stuff. And so I think I own a lot of jeans and I don't really like sewing jeans. So that kind of throws me off. But I would guess about 30%. I would like it to be higher though.
I think that there's definitely been times where I've had a higher percentage, but my style has evolved a lot over the many years that I've sewn. And I'm definitely not shy about getting rid of me-mades when they no longer are of use to me. We have an episode on that. We can link that in the show notes. But
yeah.
But yeah, I think that right now I'm kind of on the cusp of like maybe a new era of Haley's style. And so it's probably erring towards the side of less me-mades right now.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think my style is really changing, at least in my head. I don't know if it is, visually. But part of that is just, probably a lot of people feel this way with the pandemic ending, that our lives are changing a lot. And so, of course, our style is going to change to go with that. And it's kind of an opportunity to reinvent yourself in some ways, I think, and what your life looks like and how you dress for it.
It feels like, remember when you would be in school and the new year is coming and you're like, think about like, ooh, how am I going to dress this year?
Yeah.
It's that kind of same excitement and anticipation in a way.
I still remember what I wore on my first day of high school. And I wonder if I will remember what I wear my first day back at work.
Oh, I remember what I wore on my first day of high school, too. It was
What did you wear?
Okay, it was black and red striped tights.
Ooh.
Some Doc Martens, a mini skirt, and then like some like black t-shirt with like, I don't know, words or some kind of graphic tee type thing. I think there were like a lot of bracelets, and
It sounds very Madonna.
I had purple hair. So I think that was kind of like my freshman year look.
Wow, that doesn't sound too different from how I looked a little bit later in high school. I had purple hair a little bit later in high school too. But my first day of high school, I was not quite so bold as that. But I wore a little baby tee. So this was the 90s. I wore a little baby tee, and I also wore a mini skirt. It was a denim mini skirt, like a dark denim mini skirt. And it had the cutest little, it had like patch pockets on the front with little like heart appliques on them.
Aww.
It was really, really cute. I still think that skirt was really cute. I don't know, it was adorable. And I think I had like a little pixie cut at that point in my life. So it was fun/scary time.
So cute and precious, and I just thought I was so like cool, and I look back and just cringe. Oh gosh.
You haven't really experimented with your style if you don't look back and cringe, I think.
It's a rite of passage. You should look back and cringe. And now
I
I
have
see
lots of outfits like that.
and now I see some of this stuff coming back, and I'm like, no, don't do it. As long as no one makes me wear low-rise jeans or pluck my eyebrows, then again,
Oh gosh, the
I'll be in good
eyebrows.
shape.
I'm so glad my eyebrows grew back after the 90s.
They recovered. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people don't get them back. I'm glad mine grew back. So anyway, if you want to tell us, that was a big digression, but if you want to tell us about what percentage of clothing is made by you in your wardrobe, we would love to hear it. So let us know. You can leave it in the reviews or you can tell us on Instagram, Seamwork. And if you have an icebreaker for us, be sure to tag it Icebreakers for Makers, and we will find it and hopefully use it on a future episode. So we're talking about how to figure out how much clothing you really want and you really need. And I think this is a big question because some of the reasons that a lot of us sew are things like sustainability, or we want to have a wardrobe that feels really personal and really meaningful to us. And some people are just more interested in minimalism, just in having less in their lives. Maybe it's about clutter. There's a lot of reasons that people come to sewing or that incorporate sewing in their lives. And a lot of us want to have less stuff, but have higher quality. And I think that's also a big reason. But at the same time, sewing is really a hobby that's about producing things. So how do we know when we're getting trapped in this more acquisitive mindset where we're just acquiring more and more stuff because it feels good? I think the desire to acquire more things is really ingrained in us in a lot of ways. Don't you think, Haley?
Oh, yeah.
It's really like part of who we are as humans.
Yeah, I mean, we're really trained to buy, buy, buy. And I think it's really easy to carry that mindset over into other parts of our lives, including sewing.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think that it goes even beyond how, our culture ingrains in us the desire for more stuff. I think even just naturally, we're kind of programmed to want to hoard things and to have more things, just for survival purposes.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a part of who we are. And it's something that in our culture of abundance, we have to unlearn a little bit and just be really intentional and aware about. I read this book. I believe I've probably mentioned it in other episodes because we've talked about decluttering a little bit. But there's this book called The Hoarder in You by Robin Zazio, and she is, I believe, a psychologist. I'm not quite sure, but she worked on the show Hoarders. If you've ever seen that show, I've actually only seen it, I think, once or twice at my parents' house. They were really into it for a while. But that book, it talks about kind of all of our natural tendencies towards hoarding. And what was really great about it is that, she recognizes that hoarding is a mental illness. It is like a very serious condition that some people have, and that it is deserving of attention and sympathy because it's not something that people can necessarily control completely. But what it is, like a lot of mental illnesses, it's an exacerbation of something that is really in all of us. We all have certain tendencies, and sometimes they just get blown up to a larger size. And I think the empathy that she displays in that book was really inspiring to me. And it also made me really think about these tendencies that are really in all of us to just have more stuff and to be really frightened of getting rid of things and not having them. So I really recommend that book if you're interested in decluttering or, your relationship with your possessions. I thought it was really a good read. So that's a lot to overcome. I think it's something that we all struggle with. I don't know if there's a single answer for getting over it, but I do think that it's something that we can all be a little bit more intentional about.
Yeah, definitely. So do you struggle with acquiring too much?
I think I do, but not to the extent that I have in the past. So I feel like it's gotten a little bit better, but it is still something that I feel like I need to work on. I'm moving right now. I'm in the process of moving to a new house, and the amount of stuff that I have and that I need to move is very heavily on my mind because I have to physically move it. So that's something I've been thinking about a lot. And, also as we kind of exit this last year of the pandemic, I've been home. And so it's hard to really know what I'm actually going to use going forward because there's a lot of things that I haven't used in the last year just because my circumstances were different. So that's been a real struggle for me too when it comes to getting rid of things and deciding what I need and what I don't need. So that's my major struggle right now. But I do think I could do with less stuff, and especially less clothing. I could probably do with less.
Yeah.
What about you, Haley?
I think I'm having kind of a similar struggle as you. In the past, I've definitely had an acquisition kind of mindset. I think because my hobbies being sewing, and in the past, I was a very avid thrift store shopper. I still am, but not so much as I used to be. And I would just get so much stuff because it was cheap. Oh, this fabric or these vases or whatever, just because it was available to me, I can afford it. I definitely have curbed that a lot over the years. I think that moving from California to Oregon really changed my perspective because I was pretty broke when I moved. And so everything had to fit into like the smallest U-Haul trailer that they offer. In that, and then in our 2 cars that we drove up here, and that was it. And it completely reframed the way that I thought about my belongings. But right now, I feel like I'm really examining my wardrobe and the things I sew for myself and feeling so at a loss because of the pandemic over the last year. But then right before that, I had just had a baby and I was pregnant. And so I feel like most of my closet, I haven't worn that stuff for like 2 years. And now I go to put on these clothing pieces and I just don't know if it feels like me anymore. I feel like I'm wearing somebody else's clothes half of the time. So this is something that is really at the forefront of my mind, is like I have this want to acquire new things that maybe fit my lifestyle better, but at the same time I want to do so with a lot of intention so that I don't end up with, so much waste.
Yeah, I really feel that, especially what you said about you feel like you're wearing somebody else's clothes. I've noticed that lately, looking through my closet and deciding what to keep and what to get rid of before we move. And a lot of it is stuff I've picked up secondhand and really like, but doesn't really feel like me. I have this dress that I was looking at that I got. There's this big like vintage sale that I went to a few years ago, and I got this dress that's like this lilac silk dress with like little white swans all over it. It's so
Oh yeah, I know that
cute.
dress.
Yeah, and it's pretty comfortable too. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, it looks totally different from everything else I own. And I just have to make a decision about whether it's something, I haven't worn it in the last year because I haven't really been wearing dresses that much. And so making a decision about whether to keep it, even though I really like it, but I'm just not sure if it's me anymore. You know? Those are the hard things, the hard decisions.
And also I have this like dilemma of like, well, maybe in the last couple years, I've found a greater sense of identity outside of my appearance and my clothing. And so they don't hold, there's still a value to me. I'm a very highly aesthetic person, but it doesn't hold the same value. It's like a different currency now.
Yeah. I feel that too. I feel like with getting older, also, my looks are less important to me than they used to be in the past when I was younger. And I don't think it's good or bad. I don't think that's like I was superficial before and now I'm a better person or anything like that. I think it just changes over time and how you express yourself. The different mediums that you use or media that you use to express yourself changes over time, and nothing is better or worse. It's just kind of changes.
Yeah, and I think you could have seasons in your life where it's more meaningful to you than others, for sure.
Yeah. So, with all that said, what are some tips that have been helpful that we've got here?
So these are, truth be told, some tips that I need to start implementing for myself so that I can feel more grounded in the belongings that I do have. So idea number one is to audition a capsule or capsule-ish wardrobe if capsules aren't your thing. Try packing a lot of stuff away and leaving yourself with kind of your most loved, your favorite, your essentials, and then write down the things that you miss. Pack away the things that you've had out for a couple weeks, but you aren't wearing anymore. You might find that after a few weeks of doing that, that you don't really miss a lot of what you packed away. And that might be a good indicator to you of how much volume is acceptable in your particular life, in your lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip also for people who are in the situation that we just talked about where you feel like your style is really changing. I feel like this would be really, really helpful to try out a smaller wardrobe and see if you really even miss the things that don't feel like you anymore.
Yeah, I have a feeling you might not miss it. Wallace, one of our pattern makers here, she has this really great ritual, which I am going to share with you. And that is that every year, I think she does it New Year's, but I could be totally wrong. Every year, she takes every single piece of clothing out of her closet and tries it on. And if she likes it, she keeps it. But if she doesn't, she gets rid of it. And if she can't even muster the energy to put it on her body, then it's a no-go. It's bye-bye. And I think that's so brilliantly brutal. I love it. So good. And also a really good indicator of like the volume of things that fit your life. I have this other idea that I've been throwing around for years. Back when we had the Colette blog, I wanted to do a series about this, and that was keep a photo diary for 30 days of your outfits, and with each day kind of just do a small little journal entry. Did you feel good in it? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? You could even come up with like a rating system or something. 4 out of 5 stars kind of thing. I think that would be so helpful to look back and see the common themes between things that work for you, and will really help you to kind of like identify that smaller capsule-ish wardrobe that would work for you.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I had something that I wore the other day that I really liked, so I took a picture of it because I remembered this tip, and I thought this would be a really, really great thing to try out. I also discovered that you can put captions on your photos on your iPhone, which I did not realize you could. I don't know if it's a new feature. I just never saw it before, but I don't know. I swiped some way I'd never swiped before and saw it. So I think that'd be a great way to take notes.
I'm filing that away in my brain as like useful to know tip. Another tip would be to try out design your wardrobe. You might find having a defined palette and style can help you to keep from acquiring too much and acquiring things that really just don't suit your lifestyle. If you're not familiar, Design Your Wardrobe is a program that we run twice a year, and it's a little 3-week-long program that helps you to build your sewing queue for the coming season. You go through all of these fun exercises, and we do it as a community. You can also access it any time of the year if you're a Seamwork member. Another good way to keep yourself from acquiring too much is to set a goal to only make X number of new things a year, and everything else that you create is either mending or maybe replacing an item that needs to be replaced in your wardrobe.
Yeah.
I love that tip. That's so practical. I think that's something I could implement for myself too.
Yeah, I like that.
It kind of fits into that Make 9 challenge that a lot of people do every year.
Yeah, you could also combine it with a, pledge to yourself to only buy a certain number of things.
Oh, yeah.
You want to make a certain number of things and buy a certain number of things, which I've done in the past. I did a year of not buying anything new a long time ago, and it was life-changing. I really liked doing challenges like that.
Yeah. And lastly, something I would encourage you to do is that when you're contemplating a new project, try and ask yourself, do I own something like this already? If you do you want to make another one because you love it and you wear it a lot? Or maybe you have duplicates of it in your wardrobe already that you don't need. Like, how many pairs of black leggings do you need? I don't know you. I don't know your life, but maybe you don't need a dozen. I don't know. Just speculating.
That's a good example. I feel personally attacked, though.
I'm talking to you, Sari.
So those are some great tips. Those are some ideas that we've had that, some of these are things that we would like to try or that we've heard from other people or our community. And I think they are all fantastic ideas. So just to recap what those are, you could try auditioning a capsule wardrobe or a capsule-ish wardrobe and pack stuff away to see what you'll miss. I love this one. I really want to try this. The second one came from Wallace, and that is to take everything out of your closet, and if it doesn't inspire you, just get rid of it, and do that at a certain time of year, maybe in the beginning of the year. It's a great time to have clothing swaps, naked lady parties, that kind of thing too. So get your friends to do it. I think that would be awesome. You could have a wardrobe diary and take pictures of what you wear every day for 30 days with some notes. I also really like that idea. I think that would be really fun and probably change how you dress a little bit. At least I think it would for me. So yeah, I might want to try that one too. Create a defined palette and style. So you could use something like Design Your Wardrobe to help you to really hone your style and come up with some words and a palette to really refine it. And that can help you to pare down what you own. You can set a goal or a challenge for yourself to only make a certain number of new things, with everything else being replacing or mending. I really like that one as well. That's a great one. And then when you're contemplating a new project, try asking yourself if you own something similar already and why that might be, whether it's a duplicate or not. That's a really great tip. So that's our tips for trying to either pare down the amount of clothing you have or just to be more mindful of it so you can really explore how much you really want and you really need in your life. So if you want to learn more about this, I would recommend our episode on how to get rid of things you've made, if that's something that you struggle with. I know a lot of people struggle with getting rid of things that they've actually made and invested time in. So check out that episode. I also mentioned the book, The Hoarder in You by Robin Zassio. So we'll put that in the show notes as well. But that's a great book that I really enjoyed about the tendencies that we all have to hoard stuff. And if you like this episode, be sure to leave us a review. We would love to hear from you. We have a review here to share with you guys from Mary Beth. She said, I've been sewing for years and years and still find out a new trick or two on this podcast. So thanks, Mary Beth. I love hearing that. That's great. I'm excited that people are finding new tips and tricks that they can try out, because it's all about experimenting and seeing what works.
Yeah, for sure.
No matter how long you've been sewing. So we really appreciate all your reviews. And if you have an icebreaker for us, add it to your review and we will read it. We read them every single week and we just absolutely love hearing from you guys.
Bye.
Seamwork Radio is brought to you by the team at Seamwork. Seamwork's an online community that supports you in creating a wardrobe that feels right for you. When you join us at Seamwork, you become part of our private community of makers, and you also get access to monthly sew-along classes, a library of over 200 sewing patterns, and tons of great resources to help guide you through the sewing adventure that you choose. Podcast listeners can get half off a Seamwork Unlimited membership, which means you can download as many of those 200 plus patterns as you want at any time, and our community will be there to guide and support you. If you'd like to join us for half off, just visit seamwork.com/go/podcast50. You can also find us on Instagram at Seamwork or visit our YouTube channel, which is called Seamwork Video. We love hearing from you, so let us know if there's a topic or a personal story that you'd like us to cover. Thanks for listening to Seamwork Radio.